You're listening to Fear in the Southwest podcast. This is Drew.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Lewis.
It's going to be a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, guys?
Not a whole lot. What's up?
It feels like there's a breeze. Spooky.
It's October. It feels like summer.
It does feel like summer still.
Yeah, no kidding.
You want to open one up too?
I ain't got one. I ain't got nothing to open.
That just doesn't work as good as a bottle.
It
No,
doesn't.
it don't.
Oh, wait, she's got something.
It's just water.
No sounds from the water.
No sound.
Water is quiet. So today's episode, well, we talked about hotels. How about museums?
There's quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there are.
Oh, yeah.
More than I thought there would be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. There's some haunted museums. Ladies first.
Okay.
The look.
I know.
Like, how dare you make
I'm
me
in
go
a mood
first?
today. All right. No, I'm just kidding. I'm fine. All right. The Whaley House. So I accidentally picked this the last time we were talking because for some reason I thought it was a bed and breakfast, but it's a museum.
Oh.
But it's the Whaley House and it's in San Diego. It's in Old Town San Diego. And this house was cursed as it was being built. People that were building it got hurt. I guess that used to be a main site for executions.
Ew.
Also, of course, you know, you had the indigenous people that lived there and they were killed off, made to move different parts of the land. And so right away, this land was just very cursed to begin with, and workers getting hurt, weird injuries. And so the Whaley family had this house built. It took a few years to build. He brought his family in. Mr. Whaley and his wife had 6 children. So they move in the house, and shortly after, they start having mysterious footsteps, seeing apparitions, and unfortunately, their 18-month-old baby ended up dying of scarlet fever.
Aw.
Oh.
And so they could actually hear, you know, the baby's footsteps, crying. And even now to this day, workers still claim that they can hear baby Thomas is the baby's name. But everyone in the Whaley family died, you know, with horrible events. One of his daughters was married to someone who only married her for her money because they were a wealthy family. She couldn't take the fact of getting divorced because it was very taboo back then, so she shot herself.
Oh.
When she killed herself, months before, she isolated herself in the second floor of the building. And so people have seen her apparition. Workers have said that they felt that they're being stared at. And when they look up at the window, the curtain's moving, or they'll see a figure of a woman. So whether it's her or someone else.
Jeez.
So whether they died in that house or outside of the house, they just had like a series of unfortunate deaths and events happen to them. And he actually kept court records there. He wanted to make it a courthouse at one point because they had such bad experiences in the house, they eventually moved. And then in the 1900s, they decided to make it a museum
Interesting.
or a tourist attraction. And no one's really lived there since the 1950s, but I guess there's a stairwell where people have been tripped. They feel like a presence tugged on their hair. Like I said, they see the girl in the window.
I don't know if I'd want to go to that museum.
Seems interesting.
If apparitions are tripping you, I don't want to go.
No, me either. on that
Oh,
one.
like I said, he had like a bunch of court records and stuff. And I guess when his children were home alone, a mob of people who had like incriminating evidence against them came and held the family at gunpoint and held them hostage while they raided, and they took all the documents. So this house just attracted negative things.
Bad juju
yeah,
all around.
bad energy.
Yeah. No, thank you.
And a lot of Old Town San Diego itself is haunted because of the tribes that live there. and they were slaughtered or moved elsewhere. So just bad ground.
No, thank you. I'll pass on that one.
That's a creepy museum.
Mm-hmm. And they have several tours, several companies doing tours there.
Do a lot of people experience stuff?
Mm-hmm. And it's one of the it is the oldest brick structure in southern Arizona, or not Arizona, Southern California.
It moved.
Yeah, it moved here.
It's so haunted, it moved.
So
Yeah, I'll pass on that one.
and it had like a Greek style architecture, and it stood out back then. You know, it was a huge mansion, and
Sounds creepy. Let's go.
yeah.
Well, I'll pass.
Yeah, same here.
That one would be on y'all's bucket list.
Although I'm sure if we made some kind of concessions, me and Lewis would probably go.
Like we stayed outside and smoked
Exactly.
while they come running screaming out, like Andrew did down in Bisbee.
You're not gonna let that. We're not gonna let you live that one down.
No.
Sorry.
No, you won't. That's okay, though. It was experience.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So who's the next one?
You.
No, I think it needs to go
The one who
counterclockwise
asked
today.
goes.
Exactly. See, Andrew didn't ask. He just straight up volunteered Stephanie. See, you asked. Yeah, that was the problem. You volunteered by doing that. You should know better.
Actually, no, I didn't volunteer, but okay, I'll go. Mine is in Baltimore.
Off to Baltimore.
Off to Baltimore. And the Edgar Allan Poe House and Museum.
Oh.
Yeah. The museum actually opened in 1949. It's a typical row home. And it was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1972. They've had problems keeping the thing open. As far as that. But let's give some history of the house first. It was first numbered as 3 Amity Street in Baltimore. Sort of like Amityville Horror. But now it's numbered 203 North Amity Street. It was presumed to have been built in 1830 and rented by Poe's aunt, Maria Clem, in 1832. Clem was joined in the home by her ailing mother, Elizabeth Cairns Poe, and her daughter, Virginia Clem. How would you like to have the last name of Clem? Clem. Edgar moved into the home with his cousin and his aunt at one point around the age of 23 after he left West Point. So, creepy writing dude was in the best school in the country at the time at West Point. Virginia was 10 years old at the time, and Poe would marry her 3 years later. Marriage of cousins, that was a big thing back
and it
then.
was very common, yeah.
Underage at that,
Yeah,
too.
13 years old. Ugh. Couldn't imagine.
Not in this day and age, no.
His Poe's dad was actually a rock bottom drunk, and his mother was an actress. His dad actually fought in the Revolutionary War, so that's probably why he was a drunk.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Let's see. But yeah, they found skeletal remains in the house when they were doing a renovation in 1979. Reminiscent of Poe's story, The Telltale Heart. And they were believed to be animal bones discarded into what is known as the trash pit or midden beneath the home. So apparently it was an animal, but still. Ugh. But there's rumors that there's been sightings of Poe or Virginia or Elizabeth. Yeah, it sounds like a creepy house, and most of his work was pinned at that house.
Oh.
Going from though they say it can't be confirmed, the following works were created while Poe was staying in this house: MS found in a bottle, Lionizing a Tale, Shadow, a Parable, Berenice, Morella, King Pest the First, a tale containing an allegory, The Unparalleled Adventure of One Hans Flaul. And some of the poems he wrote were Latin Hymn, Enigma, Serenade, and the Colosseum. But yeah, there's also other areas where Poe stayed that are also haunted. In Richmond, Virginia, the National Historic Site in Philadelphia, and Edgar Allan Poe Cottage in the Bronx, New York. So apparently he's everywhere.
He gets around.
Yeah. He took his family to live in the Bronx, thinking that would help Virginia and her tuberculosis
Yeah, she had
at the time.
tuberculosis. Yeah, that's what she died of.
And then he became a drunk as well, which explains some of his deep, dark stories. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, that could only come from a fever dream brought on by extreme alcoholism.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember having to read that stuff in school, and that's all I could think of is, what the hell was this guy on? Then, of course, we had to go and read about who the author was, and it's like, oh,
Well, back
he
in
was
the,
always intoxicated. Next
back in the day, they also did opium and
Yeah, he did.
cocaine and all that stuff too. So
Like I said, it was definitely a fever dream inspired by a lot of drug paraphernalia and alcoholism.
yeah, exactly.
Dang.
And yeah. No, I was gonna say, and the way he died too, like that would.
I don't remember. How
Like
did
that,
he
huh?
die again? I always forget.
Wasn't he found on a park bench, just
Yes.
unresponsive, just dead, and nobody knows exactly what has killed him? And there's been like debates of maybe he did have tuberculosis, maybe he just had a bad heart. You know, you talked about alcoholism, and a huge theory is he contracted rabies.
Which would also put somebody in a dark place for writing.
Because it attacks the brain, and you know, people who have when dogs get rabies, they only live like 10 days, if that. When people get rabies, they can go for a certain amount of time before it
okay.
actually causes them to go mad.
He was found semi-conscious in Baltimore,
Oh,
in great distress and in immediate need of assistance. Yeah. So he was taken to Washington Medical College, where he died Sunday, October 7th, 1849.
oh, what's today's date? Oh, it's the
It's the 6th.
oh, very
The
close,
5th. Very close.
very close. I was like, whoa, what's today's date?
Whoa.
Wait, what? I'm
He,
sorry.
he
I
died
just,
on October 7th at 5 a.m.
oh, thank God we're doing this on the 5th.
I know, that's why I was like, what's today's date?
Like, oh, great. I think we just conjured his ass. Fuck.
It might help me. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, mercy.
The stuff we've been having here.
Have you all been getting haunted again?
Just
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, we've had some activity.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
I think he needs a little bit of liquid courage from his monster.
So,
It's okay. Steph chased it out today.
is that the reason the boxes were being carried around outside? You came in?
No, we went to a yard sale.
No,
Ah.
I went to a yard sale and I got a Star Wars book.
Okay.
And it makes sounds.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, anytime you get something, you have to be careful what could be attached to it or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know, just a lot of activity around here lately, especially in the evening.
Books. Has anything knocked Andrew off the couch yet? Again?
She would want nothing more.
Well, I remember that one time you said Andrew was on the couch asleep, and all of a sudden he's rolled off the couch.
No?
Or something like that. I could have swore or something like that.
No, it was some kind of noise or something. I think it was, or I don't know.
Oh yeah, we were watching a movie and we heard like a loud bang in the kitchen that like scared the shit out of us. We both hit the floor.
Ah, that was it.
That was it. Okay. I was thinking somebody had pushed him off.
No, my son had a night terror the other night, and when I was trying to comfort him, he kept pointing at the corner
Oh,
and
jeez.
saying, "Go away." And I was like, "No." But his eyes were closed, so I think he was just dreaming. He did have an eye appointment that was kind of traumatic for him, so I'm
Very
just
traumatic.
thinking
Poor little guy.
maybe he was just having a nightmare from that. Because I don't show him anything scary. Even though my house is decorated scary, but I don't. Just like fun Halloween. I don't know.
I don't even see it.
But he was just like, "Go away," and he was just like pointing.
There's a whole Halloween.
I know,
village
it's
right
like
by
my
the door.
natural decor, right?
I see a pumpkin.
Yeah.
That's all I see.
On the cabinet next to it.
Ah. Okay.
The
But
snowman's
nothing
out of
scary.
place.
I'm like, I'm not gonna do that to him. But
So he wouldn't like our wolf.
I don't know. It's hit or miss with him because he was fine with the animatronics at Home Depot, and then we were at Target, and I was actually trying to take a picture for you because it was a giant, like, scary thing, and it had the name tag Lewis.
Oh, Lord.
And so I was like, "Oh, how funny!" And I went to go take a picture, and I activate it, and he just like it terrified him. So
Way to go, Lewis.
no, I was like, "Ready to go, Mom? Terrify your child." But it hadn't moved the whole time. That was the funny part. Like,
And then when you go to take
and
a
then
picture,
when I
it
went to take a
moves.
picture,
Yeah, that's the way they
how it
do.
be. That's how it be
Right?
sometimes. See the ones at Spirit, the shoots up like this witch shoots up in the air, like people like fall on their ass.
Where
They
they
don't
lose
expect
their
that.
soul.
Yeah.
Like I've been seeing on reels lately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how you know the Halloween decor is good. You're gonna trick or treat, you're gonna earn it.
Yeah.
You want that free piece of candy? You're gonna have to get by the scary stuff first.
I just wonder
And when you're
what
successful at that, it's when you become a paranormal investigator.
I just wondered what the kids are going to say when they see the
Yeah.
plague doctor come to the door.
oh,
Or see Beetlejuice pull up after he gets done with his shift at work.
get out of the car.
Oh yeah, if they don't let us dress up, I plan to do it at the end of my shift.
I keep hearing people say, "What are you wearing for Halloween? What are you dressing up as?" They ask me, I'm like, "I'm just gonna be a chief engineer." And they all just look at me. I'm like,
Well, you're gonna need a red shirt, or are you gonna go with Next Generation and be a yellow shirt?
"No, I'm just gonna be my. I'm just gonna wear my uniform."
Somebody caught the reference. It's just basically quiet. Like I know this reference, but I'm not gonna say nothing. I want to see how long they take.
I knew where you were going, but
Hey, you can either be LaForge or you can be Scotty. Pick one.
I don't know.
Because you can't be Torres. She was female. You won't look good as a female
You know?
Klingon.
he could be Stamets.
Oh, I forgot about Stamets. You're right.
Oh my god.
We have to dye his hair blonde for that one, though. I don't think the wifey likes that idea. It's like, no.
You about made her choke.
You
I
almost
noticed
killed
that.
her. Me, the thought of me being blonde almost killed her. Wow. Wouldn't run me never to dye my hair.
Okay.
Anyways,
Andrew.
Your turn.
I'll
No.
go.
He's totally like rock, paper, scissors? No. Oh,
It's
fine.
fine. It's fine. It's all good. It's all good. We're going to Vegas though.
Ah.
Like, no.
She's imagining the craps table right there. She goes, "Ah, we said it, baby."
That's what I meant, but no.
Crabs.
No, I
Not
didn't
that
do
kind.
it that way.
No, she definitely
I
did
did
the little
this.
shake
I
and
did
roll.
this.
Definitely did this
I did
motion.
this,
Yeah, no.
not. Never mind.
She was actually doing this motion,
Yeah.
which is the correct way.
Raps.
Uh,
All right. Anyways, ADHD's been triggered. Sorry.
when is it not triggered with you?
True. True. Causing me a lot of problems lately. Anyways, I'm actually going to talk about a museum that we've been to. So, if you've been on the channel for a while, you've heard about this, but it's a revisit. But we're going to probably talk a little less about experience than more about the museum. You want the experience? Go back a few episodes. By a few episodes, probably like
About
3 or 4
20.
seasons ago.
Oh, yeah.
Just say it. Way to cross-reference your podcast. Anyways, Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum. Yeah, we're talking objects, right? We were mentioning how objects carry hauntings. Well, this hotel is, or
Museum.
Museum.
museum is full of it. Full of stuff.
Oh.
Scary shit.
Sort of like a Ripley's Believe It or Not, but on the scarier side.
Yeah, Zach
that's
Bagans is a little
good way to
crazy.
put that.
This man's a little crazy with some of the stuff he brought into this building. But first, let's visit the history of the building itself before we get what's in it.
Oh, so he already grabbed himself a crazy building before putting his museum
Yes, the building itself.
in. It's all coming together.
Yes, the man put together a paranormal masterpiece, including the building. The museum itself was actually built in 1938 as a home for one Cyril S., a businessman. And stories say that the spirits of Cyril's family used to terrorize past residents. So you got the family that haunts the place. It was discovered that dark rituals were performed in the basement in the 70s. It's been reported they see a black hooded shape go through closed doors all the time.
Of course it has been.
Yeah, naturally. So, I mean, the building itself is old, it's got history. It fits the theme. But it's a lot what's inside. And there's, like, no pictures allowed. So, one of the most scary items I think affects a lot of people. Well, Peggy the doll's in there. That's an active room. Was Peggy the one you have to say goodbye to when you're
Yeah,
there?
Peggy, you have to acknowledge. You have to say, hi, Peggy, goodbye, Peggy.
If you don't.
If you don't, she can attach to you and you can fall. You can have bad juju going home. People reported like being in car accidents or just like unfortunate things have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, no thank you. I do not like talking to dolls. People might think you're crazy if you're talking to dolls.
Well, if you talk to a ventriloquist, you have to talk to the doll, too.
Well, you're in a museum and they literally tell you to do it. Like, otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, we don't want the bad juju. It's just better just to say hello to the doll and move on.
It's
And
not like
goodbye.
you're having a conversation. Hey, Peggy, how you doing today?
I'm sure there's probably people
how's
going
that
and
box
do that.
treating you? I'm sorry. Goodbye, Peggy. Anyways, so Peggy's a scary aspect. There was a closet full of dolls, in which we got a little experience because it was laughing at us. Did you forget that one?
Yeah, there's a bunch of little like puppets. There were
Like
puppets.
Puppets, yeah.
There were wooden puppets, mache puppets, different style of puppets, just all in this room. And there was some laughter that wasn't coming from us or anyone that was around that area. So it was kind of interesting.
It's like a closet full of puppets.
So basically, sort of
no.
like that one movie about the woman who was a puppeteer. She died. She's supposed to be buried with all puppets, and
Yeah, it was like
you
that
can't
room.
talk because she
Yeah.
had herself turned into a giant puppet. I can't remember the name of that movie, but
No.
Yeah.
It was Keep
creepy.
Silent, or what was that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
something about
silent, something silent, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't scream or yell or anything else. She'll rip your tongue out of your mouth.
yeah.
and-
No.
Let
Attached
me, let
to
me
it
just
all.
start with that's the first room they start you with.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That is how it begins. After the creepy lobby, but that's literally like the first room you go into. Was that puppet room? Yeah.
Mm.
And we got to peek our head in that closet because we had like the view, so we could step over, like, oh, and then laughed at us. So I mean, that was a great start. So yes, this museum is full of haunted artifacts, ranging from haunted puppets all the way to the Dybbuk box. Has anyone heard of the Dybbuk box or a Dybbuk box?
Now that does sound familiar, but I cannot remember it.
Yeah, this. Okay, so this particular Dybbuk box.
Isn't it a wine cabinet?
Yeah, it's believed the Dybbuk box is an old Jewish wine box that houses malevolent entities. The term itself is derived from Jewish folklore about an evil spirit that possesses a living person and talks through their mouth.
Huh.
All right, so the Dybbuk box that currently resides at the Haunted Museum was originally bought by Kevin Manis, apparently belonging to a 102-year-old Polish Holocaust survivor beforehand. Manis was given one instruction: never open it.
We get some Pandora feels over here.
Yeah, of course, the power of curiosity. Hard to shake. So Manis opened it.
Of course he did.
What happened next? What came after was a tangent of bad luck, terrible nightmares, and the owner said to have experienced. The box went through an eBay auction, so they got rid of it. Eventually landed on Jason Hexton's feet. He and his wife started delivering welts, blisters on their bodies, as well as bleeding from their eyes.
From a wine box.
Yep.
Ugh.
No, thank you.
The element was unexplainable, and that was until Hexton was able to reseal the box. Then they suddenly disappeared.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Like the couple disappeared?
Yeah, it's literally says then they disappeared. But then Hexton had the box hidden away from the world, wrote a novel based on his experience, which is now the inspiration for the 2012 horror film The Possession.
No, thank you.
Hexton eventually donated the box to Zach Bagans, and it now sits in his museum. That room was complete. That box has gone complete lockdown.
No, I wouldn't doubt it.
It's like you can see it through the glass, but it is like fortified.
Well, nobody wants to go and have their patrons come in, view a box, then a week or so later, all of a sudden they're disappeared after going to the hospital, reporting about boils and sores
Yeah.
and everything on their body. I mean, it looks very bad for press.
You don't open the box. But that was the room I remember feeling like pressure on the chest. Like that room was creepy. We went back to the hotel and she was like heavily affected by it. Like she got sick. Don't know if it was from the Dybbuk box, Peggy, or what room, but there was even a room full of clowns.
Oh, no.
One of the rooms there, is it Houdini? That they had the mirror that was in Houdini's room where he was stabbed in front of this mirror several times. And so people have noticed scary reflections in the mirror or just, seeing someone behind them. And so this mirror used to be covered up because it was said to have been the only witness to the murder.
Wait, I thought Houdini died.
Was it
drowning.
Houdini? Who is it then? It's not Houdini then. Who is it?
I could have sworn Houdini died drowning out during one of his own
You're
tricks.
right. You're right. I don't know why I'm thinking
Not Houdini.
Not Houdini. My bad. It was another person.
You're good.
Anyways, he was killed in front of this mirror. He was stabbed several times, and they believe that the energy of that event got stuck in the mirror because I was the only witness. No one knows what happened.
It's probably the basis they had for the idea of Candyman, and
Yeah,
Bloody
and
Mary.
the-
I think it was.
And so one of the things they wanted people to do at the museum is to stand in front of the mirror as long as you can stand it and just stare at your reflection.
Okay.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Who was?
Yeah.
My bad. I'll look at it.
I can't.
Yeah.
There's so many
you know.
haunted mirrors. I was like, well, this is not narrowing it down at all. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, this museum is full of this kind of stuff. Like the Dybbuk box, creepy. Peggy, creepy. Anyone remember Dr. Death?
Now that name sounds familiar.
Dr. Desvan is at the museum. And, you know, he performed medically induced deaths on people from 1990 to 1998 in his Volkswagen van.
Thing is, he saw it as like euthanasia, a humane killing. That's what he saw it as. These are people who were terminally ill.
Yeah, it was.
People had low quality of life, and so he would go in and end their life for them.
So yeah, that's in the museum. So imagine the vibe in that room was.
No, thank you.
They do have like a serial killer room too.
Yeah, they have the Ed Gein stuff in there.
Ed Gein. They have
They had the
stuff that
cauldron.
belonged to Dahmer.
Dahmer, Manson, yep.
Like they had his artwork. They even had Sharon Tate's outfit there
Mm-hmm.
that the Manson group killed.
Yeah, this hotel. Jesus.
We're not
Museum.
talking hotels.
Now I'm fucked up this week. I'm backwards. It's okay. So this museum is full of like
Just-
actual stuff, you know, creepy situations, you know, and items bring hauntings. Another one is they literally have the staircase to that house. What was that house again?
A staircase to hell.
Pretty much. The demon house. Mm-hmm. The demon house staircase is literally there, in the dirt.
The dirt from the
excuse me.
residents.
That house was so haunted, messed up. They demolished it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's one haunted museum.
The thing is with this museum, every museum has cameras everywhere, but they have caught people fainting. They have caught people having like anxiety attacks, but then they're fine as soon as they leave the house.
They had that chair.
They even had celebrities go in and have reactions. So
Yeah. There was also that room with the chair. What was the chair from again? Remember? That's her.
yeah, it's about a family that got possessed, and it was a little boy that was like 10 to 13 years old. I can't remember, but he was possessed, and they had him strapped to that chair where they tried to perform an exorcism on him.
You're talking
that's
about the
just-
devil's rocking chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes,
just found
yes.
that one.
I'm
Yes.
looking at the website right now.
Yep. This one's missing a few items. I noticed.
I'm looking at the actual website.
Yeah.
And so this museum has like two different options. They have like your basic tour, and then they have a VIP tour, and that you can kind of touch certain objects. You can go down in like secret crawl spaces that they have. You pay extra for it, and then they have like a flashlight tour.
The late
Yeah.
night flashlight
Where-
ghost tour.
mhm.
It's
You would
pricey.
not. You would not get me to do that. Nope.
Oh, here's a little fun tidbit. They have, the history of James Dean and the vehicles and stuff. They have the only known piece of in existence of actor James Dean's cursed little bastard card, in which he was killed. This transaxle has also been linked to other deaths. So yeah, this museum is haunted as I'll get out, and we've had experiences there. You're up, Jason.
All right. Well, the one I'm doing, it's called the Mount. It is actually, that's what everybody calls it. In fact, it's called even when the original owners would. It's the home of Edith Wharton and her husband, Teddy Wharton. I can't remember his first name. Theodore or something? I don't know. Don't remember. It was built at the turn of the century, 1901, the Whartons lived there up until 1911 when they got divorced, and Edith went off to France, where she actually participated in World War One. She was actually sent to the front lines like 5 times, or to the front lines 5 times. But she would help out charitable events, hospitals, all that kind of stuff. It has, over the history of it, after the Whartons, got divorced and left, because they ended up selling the house through the divorce. I guess Teddy didn't want to give up half the house, so he's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna sell it." No one really knows why they sold it, to be honest with you. It was probably a better way for the equity to properly split was to sell the house and then split the money. It was in the 40s. It was a school for girls, and of course, a lot of pupils would go and complain about hearing weird noises. They would see apparitions of men and women in period dress from the turn of the century that would just, vanish. It was closed down and this girls' school was moved. And then in the 70s, sorry. In the 70s, a William Shakespeare dramatic troupe came in. They were using the Mount to put on the plays and whatnot, as well as they would live there. Use dormitories, and they were actually experiencing a lot of the same type of phenomenon that the little girls were also having when they were there. In fact, one of them, she was one of the performers. Yeah, she was a thespian. Was standing towards the backstage near a glass wall that would go into like a drawing room. Right next to where there was a drawing room and whatnot. And this man, in a very fine attire for the period of the early 1900s, came up to her and, said, "Hey, what's all this commotion?" When she looked and saw him, he all of a sudden vanished. I mean, she heard the footsteps and she turned and saw this guy that almost looked see-through. I mean, she's looking through a glass, of course. So she just thinks it's a trick of the glass. Because, sometimes you can look see-through that way. When you look at a certain angle at a glass, the person behind it can look see-through. So she's just thinking there. Then, before she can even answer, though, he just vanished. Right out of sight. They do believe, judging by the way, she was able to give a description of him, and they actually tracked down that his name was Henry Jones. He was actually a frequent visitor of the Whartons. He was very affluential in the Berkshire area. Oh, the Mount is in the Berkshires of Massachusetts.
Of course it is.
Mostly Lenox, Massachusetts. There was also, they would, you would hear these large, heavy footsteps of a particularly large man who was at one time one of the caretakers of the residence. A lot of people would, they would feel taps on their shoulders. One of a ghost hunter had actually found a large handprint on one of the walls. Now, of course, it didn't show up under normal lighting. They had to use the special spectral analysis and blacklight and all that other stuff that they used, but they were able to see it. And of course, they asked around, and nobody's like, no. And again, one of the ghost hunters had felt a large hand gently tap the top of her head. Of course, when they turned around to look, all they could see was a huge shadowy figure disappearing off into the second and third floors. Again, they did. He was unnamed, but they did have a very large man as a caretaker back in Horton's life. There's also the spirit of one of the maids. She had a bit of a tragic tale at the house. When it was discovered that she was pregnant, she went to the part of the kitchen that was called the butler's pantry, as she hung herself. And even now, they'll see a female servant going around and sweeping, in period dress, and of course, every time they try to do double take or follow her, she walks around, she's gone. But anytime people would get around near the kitchen and the old butler's pantry, they could hear the sound of a woman scream, followed by the strangling noise when she hung herself. They also had seen the spirits of both Teddy and Edith Wharton. Terribly sorry about that. In fact, one of them was in a gift shop employee, where Edith Wharton was also a Pulitzer Prize-winning author of ghost stories. She survived tuberculosis, I think it was, in her childhood, or was it thyroid fever? One of the two. It was a near-death experience for her. So even though she didn't believe in ghosts, she was deathly afraid of them. So, of course, she was having the supernatural and ended up inspiring a lot of her stories. Well, anyways, they would sell her books in the gift store. They still do. and one of the customers came up to her asking about a particular book. You know, they're mentioning, you know, some parts of the character and everything, and Chloe's trying to remember it. Well, all of a sudden, a door swings open, and there's no wind that day. It hits the shelf, and the book that falls off the shelf just so happens to be the exact book
That's
that the
great.
woman was looking for. It was called The House of Mirth, was the name of the book. And of course, woman saw it, was, that's the one I want. So it was a bit of a friendly help by Edith, showing, oh, you want one of my books? Oh, that one? I know that one. Here, there's the book. Teddy would, you know, a lot of times they would see him in like his drawing room.
I thought you were saying you're in his drawers.
Drawing room.
In his
Drawing
drawer.
room.
He's just.
Oh, that's okay though. One of the actors from the Shakespeare Company was sleeping in Teddy's old room because they didn't, you know, back in the day, not all couples always slept in the same room, especially when they were getting on, you know, bad terms. They would, if the house was big enough, they would sleep in separate rooms. It's just one of the things that the rich could do and would do. Anyways, she ended up being woken up in the middle of the night and saw the backside of a transparent man with a ponytail, which, you know, from the clothes
Yeah.
and the way what she could get and look, it matched the description of old Teddy. But yeah, I mean, and a lot of times, you know, people would go and catch glimpses of both Edith and Teddy together. They'd be reading the books together, just, you know, enjoying while they were still, you know, married
On
and,
good
you know,
terms.
on good terms. Yeah, thank you. I was trying to think of the right word. They would do a lot of stuff together, and one of the things was read books to each other. Let's see. But yeah, I mean, ghost hunters did go there, and they did find lots of evidence that proved, oh yeah, there's some, yep, you got some spectral activity going on around here. They did 2 episodes actually, one in 2009, another one in 2015, and yeah, the ghosts are just as prevalent in 2015 as they were in 2009. So
That's because they never go to where they're supposed to.
that is true. That is true.
They're still in purgatory,
Yeah.
if you believe in such a thing.
Yeah, they also had also recorded some disembodied voices too. Again, they're all speaking in the old turn of the century speak. So you know, yeah, that's mine. You know, the Mount, the Edith Wharton Estate, and it is one of the on the smaller side of mansions in the Berkshires. They actually call it a cottage.
A cottage.
Yes. Yeah, it's you know, like I said, after the girls' school and the Shakespearean thing, the Edith Wharton Restoration Society had started up because they wanted to preserve her house, you know, open it up to the public. They ended up facing a lot of troubles too, because when they first opened it, they just had the house, but they had took a lot of loans out in order to help rebuild. You know, the first thing they rebuilt was the house, got all up to where it needed to be, and then they would work on the rest of the estate and everything, but they couldn't pay back the loans. In fact, at one point, the banks came to them and said, look, we're about to foreclose on this thing unless you come to loans. So the director of it, who just took charge, said, well, why don't we open the rest of the place up? Why are we just funneling them? I mean, they see all this estate, these beautiful gardens in the front, a pet cemetery in the back. Yes, they have a pet cemetery. Edith Wharton loved her pets, and they were buried on site. Probably another thing. I didn't read anywhere where people heard anything like, you know, animals. But I would not put it past some of the pets probably stuck around. But yeah, he's like, why don't we just open up the whole place? They did that, and within a couple months, not only were they able to pay back all their loans, but they were also able to get all the funding to finish the project.
Oh, that's good.
So all it was, let's open the whole place up. I mean, like I said, it's a huge place. And they do ghost tours during September all the way up to end of September all the way up to Halloween, where it's, you know, after dark, flashlights, and that's where they really see a lot more of the paranormal than versus during the day. I mean, during the day, yeah, you still feel a bit here and there, but it's mostly at night is when you can really get a feel, especially around the servant quarters, the old stables, because don't think a lot of the servants ever actually left.
Yeah.
be honest with you. But yeah, that's my place.
That's pretty cool.
I wouldn't mind going there myself.
No, that'd be cool. Yeah.
I
You're
want to
going
go
on your own.
I want to go to all of these.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Anyways,
The quiet.
just absorbing all that info.
Oops, that's my bracelet. Sorry.
This was a fun episode, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we have a haunted road trip of museums and hotels.
All over the country.
Oh yeah, there are.
It'd take us a month to get to all of them.
We need sponsors. Anyways, thanks for listening to Fear in the Southwest podcast. This is Drew.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Lewis.
Stay spooky, our friends.